Hello and welcome to the Revisionary Podcast. I'm your host, Juan Carlos. I wanted to take a moment before we started this week's episode to say thank you to each and every single one of you who have listened. Quite honestly, when you take on a venture like this, it is only as successful as the people who show out and support you. And pretty early on, I set a goal for myself and what I wanted to accomplish with this podcast, specifically what I wanted to accomplish within the first couple of weeks. And I'm very humbled by the response. You guys have turned out and shown your support, and we've smashed the number that I set forward. In fact, we tripled it. But I want to continue this momentum, and I want to continue to grow. And this is only possible with the help of all of you. So I want to continue to ask, if you haven't already, please follow us on Instagram on the Revisionary Podcast. Make sure you subscribe because we are officially anywhere that you can listen to podcasts. We're now on Apple, which I know we weren't before, and that was a bit of a big deal. We're on Stitcher. I'm on Spotify. We are in a number of places. There are even episodes that are now on YouTube, if you want to follow the podcast there. And I must say, it's been incredibly humbling to go on this journey and this experience, and I couldn't have done it without you guys, the Revisionaries, those who tune in. So please make sure you're following us everywhere. And also, if you could do me a huge favor, if you like any of the episodes and you like the podcast, please recommend it to about 3 to 4 friends, maybe even 5. I mean, not only does it help the podcast continue to grow, but it also helps you out because it's kind of cool when you have someone to discuss the issues that are discussed on the podcast with. I do also want to recognize that I do listen to your feedback. Those of you who have messaged me on social media and have reached out to me, I am receiving your messages. And I will say that this isn't something that I do alone. Honestly, I could not have done this by myself at all. It's easy for me to take all the credit because I'm the one on air and I'm the voice that you hear and, it's my name that you're hearing. But I want to give a quick shout out to my audio engineer, Phil Bowen, because quite honestly, one of the biggest compliments that I've received on the podcast, in addition to how you love the theme song and how you like my interview style and how you think the guests are funny, is how professional the podcast sound and the quality of the show. And that is only capable because of how talented Phil is. I don't know that I would have been able to do this without Phil. So Phil, thank you if you're listening. Well, I know you're listening because you're going to edit this. But I do want to say thank you in front of the Revisionaries. Because quite honestly, you're just as important as I am to this equation. So thank you for all that you do. And lastly, before I forget, I want to announce one last time that as we're celebrating the opening month of the Revisionary Podcast, episodes will be released on Wednesdays and Fridays. But once November kicks in, we're going to dial it back to our usual slot, and we will be releasing episodes once a week on Wednesdays. But I want to thank you again for joining me on this journey as we celebrate the opening month of the Revisionary Podcast. It's been a blast. And now, without further ado, why don't we get to the show?
I remember that time when we had our last fight. Words were said out of line. They were your words, not mine. Do you ever look back and think about all the things you could have said? Replay them over again inside your head. This is the Revisionary Podcast. Stories of what we would have done in the past. This is the Revisionary Podcast with your host, Juan Carlos. The Revisionary Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Revisionary Podcast. And as always, I'm your host, Juan Carlos. For those of you who have never listened to this podcast, the way it works is I bring on guests. A lot of them are comedians, but they're not all comedians. And they tell a nonfiction story about their life, about something they wish had gone a little bit different. I give them an opportunity to tell us their story exactly as it happened. Afterwards, they retell their story, but this time they can change any facts or detail about their story that they want, and then we discuss the impact of the changes that they've made. And this week I'm very excited to announce that we have the very, very funny Mr. Gastor Almonte. Now, first and foremost, I need you guys to know Gastor is the homie. I love talking to Gastor. He's just one of those people who I can't sit in the same room as and not laugh. He makes me laugh every single time. I have a special appreciation for Gastor because, like me, he is also a Dominican American. I believe he's also first generation, like I am. And he grew up in New York the same way I did. I mean, he grew up in Brooklyn, so I'm not going to hold that against him. Like I said, I'm from the Bronx, and the Bronx is better for Brooklyn. You know what? We don't need to get into that. Just, Sparkno's version, the Bronx is better. No, of course I'm kidding. New York City is wonderful, and every borough is unique. But I'm always going to show out for my home borough. always show the Bronx love. And Gastor's from Brooklyn, and he does the same. He loves being from Brooklyn. I don't think I've ever had a conversation with Gastor where he goes more than 5 minutes without telling you he's from Brooklyn. Or specifically, he likes to say he's from East New York. But Gastor's really done it all. He's been on Comedy Central. He's been on PBS. You can really catch him everywhere. He's actually been out and he's toured. Funny story, I was actually out on the West Coast once and I was having a conversation with a promoter. And he starts telling me about all the big name people that he's worked with. And the last person he mentions was Gastor. I was like, hold up. That one is actually my friend. I know that one. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So I'm really excited to have him. Also, normally, I record these and then we call them and we go through the podcast together. So we experienced this for the first time at the same time, you and I. But this episode is a little different. Quite honestly, Gastor is so entertaining because, in my opinion, he's one of the best storytellers in New York City. And he is so entertaining that I didn't want to interrupt him, so I kind of let him keep going. And the result is that this episode ended up being a lot longer than a normal episode of this podcast. So as a result, what we're going to do is, instead of giving you one mega long episode, which would take you days to finish, I'm going to break it down into 2 smaller, digestible episodes. So this is part 1 of the episode, and it's going to air today, Wednesday, and then part 2 is actually going to air on Friday. So just be on the lookout, and make sure, like I said earlier on, that you're following us, and if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the follow, make sure you give us the ratings. The 5-star ratings really help. If you have any comments or feedback, do not hesitate to leave them. I will read them. And message me on social media if you have anything else that you want to say, or if you know someone who you think would be good on the Revisionary Podcast, feel free to email us at revisionarypodcast@gmail.com. And I'd be more than happy to read their story and see what's going on from there. So why don't we go ahead and see if we can get Gastor on the line. Hey, Gastor, how are you?
Hey, my man, what's going on, huh?
Not much, chilling. How's everything been going with you?
Chilling, man. You know how it is. Working hard out here, getting as much comedy time as I can in these COVID streets.
I agree. So why don't we go ahead and get into this? Gastor, the stage is yours. Why don't you tell us your story?
Yeah, man. I'm from East New York, Brooklyn, and I feel like I start every story with that. So I
Brooklyn.
I'm on brand. Now I'm in BK all day, son.
I'm from the Bronx. So I don't know. Maybe I should reconsider having you on. BX for life.
I never understood why BK and BX don't get along. They really got nothing different, at all.
You know what it is? I've thought about this. I have a theory.
Okay.
We're so close together, right? The Bronx and Brooklyn and Queens are not that far apart. But we have to go through Manhattan to get to each other. And that train ride is just long enough for me to be tight by the time I get to Brooklyn. I'm angry. I don't spend an hour on the subway to get to you.
Yeah, I ain't gonna front me. I look at family different if they live over there.
See?
I'd be like, oh, those are the Bronx cousins. I don't know. I don't fuck with them that much, man. They pasteles taste different, B. I can't.
They put raisins in their
different
soup.
oil.
You ever had someone who put malagueta in their soup? That throws me off every single time.
Oh, why?
I don't know.
Who would do that, man?
I don't know how you say that in English. So I apologize for those of you guys who don't speak Spanish.
Right, look it up, B. Googles.
Malaguetas.
You know what I mean? But yeah, you notice it too. I feel like if you took a picture of a corner store and showed it to a non-New Yorker, they would know it's a New York store. But I know if you placed me randomly on a corner and told me to go to the store, I would instantly know by feel if it's in my neighborhood or yours.
Right.
I would instantly feel like I'm an out-of-towner here. And I don't know what it is, but it's noticeable. And we see it internally, but they don't. Anyway, BK all day, son. Now, me, right here, bang, bang. X is cool too, though. I say what's up to y'all. Oh, man. But yeah, I say that in my stories for a reason, and I think it's important to bring it up because everybody here is East New York, and they think all my stories is thug life or gangster, and most of my stories are just me being a regular dude. I just happen to be in East New York, you know what I mean? So, case in point, I actually used to be in charge of my local church's youth group growing up. right? So from 14 to 18, I used to like volunteer on Saturdays and help the adults teach confirmation class to like 13-year-olds. And from 18 to 23, 24, I was one of like the heads of the youth group at my local church. So, this is like Dominican mother's point of pride, right? Like my mom is hyped as hell. Like, hijo está la iglesia, you know what I mean? Like I can't do no wrong.
Right.
So I can't give that up. Like that's the huge selling point for me doing this. But B, like, being real, I just wanted to do good in my neighborhood. I genuinely like believe in like if you bring good to your area becomes better. You know what I mean? So I did it, and it came with certain perks. The biggest one being that when I became 18 and became like in charge of this group, they gave me keys to the church, right? Because my youth group, I convinced the priest of the church. I was like, yo, listen, I sat down with the two priests. I sat down with the youth minister. I was like, yo, I'm targeting teenagers from East New York. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna talk, I'm not gonna do 90 prayers. I'm not gonna do church hymns. I'm just trying to get them off the corner.
You're trying to relate to them.
So yeah, so I'm trying to like balance that. So like, I was like, if they end up being like, really into like religion, I'm gonna send them your way. I'm just trying to get them safe and inside and just show them there's an option. So I ran this group Fridays from 7 to 9. We would meet up. We would have like a 1-hour meeting, talk about some topic that would, I felt teenagers would struggle with. I would ask local people to talk on the topic. We talk about it as a group. And then afterward, I had keys to the whole block of the church. So that not only meant the church itself, but that also meant the connected elementary school and their NBA-sized gym.
Okay.
So that was my calling card, right? So I'm going to the block and I'm like, yo, listen, my man, I know you out here pumping. You ain't making a lot of bread. I can't do nothing about that. You got to do your life choices. I'm just saying there's other ways. For example, you could work on your crossover. You know what I mean?
You sold them the NBA? You were out here trying to do the NBA. That's what I'm trying to understand.
Listen, I'm out there. I was pushing AAU. I was pushing intramural sports. Whatever gets them away from possible gunshots and arrests, I was for that. So you know what? Yeah, I said the NBA. I don't care. If they ain't get drafted, that's fine. You know what, though? They alive to complain about it today. So I'm not mad at my decision, all right? Listen.
Okay, so you know why I take issue with this? Because you know what you could have said, right? It's
What's
like,
that?
you could have said, you're training for the NBA, but if not, let's get you that D2, D3, D1 college scholarship and get you an education.
I did. I ain't grimy like that. I showed them the options.
Got you. Okay.
But I'm not gonna lie, it was basketball centric. I will say that. That was definitely a central part of my pitch. It was like, yo, listen, I got a court. Y'all could play ball. Y'all could be out here splitting up this like $11 an hour between the four of y'all. Like, it don't make sense, but whatever. So, like being real, like for young cats, that was a good sales pitch, Right. So I know most of them, still did what they did on the other days, but I knew at least on Friday, on a day that it was hot outside with the cops going around in my neighborhood, I knew that I kept a large portion of kids that I grew up with safe. So that felt good to me. So they would come in, we would shoot the shit about a topic that was relevant that we were dealing with. The younger guys would go home, and the 16 to like 24 demo, in turn for them giving me time and doing me justice in terms of like, yo, like, let's talk this through, and trusting that this process was worthwhile. They in turn were rewarded. Like, yo, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna open up the court. Y'all could play ball till 2 a.m. And I knew that if we played ball till 2 a.m. on Friday, they go home. When they leave here, they're going straight home to rest. They're not gonna get into trouble. So they thought I'm rewarding them. I'm actually keeping them safe. So I'm doing like a double good, in my opinion.
Right.
So I felt great about this. You know what I mean? I'm doing this for years. And it kept growing, right? So like, there's kids that like from my neighborhood that like, I don't care what they do outside, that they're good people and you learn to trust them.
Right.
Right. So I often mention my boy Tooth. Tooth was a genuinely good dude, my age. Love the dude to this day. Even though he still owe me money, that's still my man. It's like when I see him, I'ma hug him. I'ma rob him for $180 back, but I'ma hug that dude when I see him. You know what I mean? But like he's someone that I knew like if I gave him like a real like strict like guideline in exchange for the court, he would work it out. You know what I mean? And he would try to do the right thing. So Tooth was also a really dope ball player. You know what I mean? We hustled a whole bunch of kids from my white high school. They were like, they used to run like a yearly tournament and shit. And they used to run like a yearly basketball tournament. So like I was like, yo, can I bring a team? And everybody's like, yo, Gastor don't play basketball. Hell yeah, you can bring a team. We'll take their money. You know what I mean? And I just brought all the basketball players from my neighborhood that I've been training.
Were you the coach?
Secretly.
You out here on the sideline like, I only need to play 1 minute to say I'm on the team.
Real talk. So I played a minute. I let the other dudes score one basket, so I was officially on the court on record. I played that minute every game in Timbs. And I still freaking won that tournament. We slaughtered everybody. There's a picture on my Facebook page to this day of all of us chopping up the money. It's crazy. And they canceled the tournament and ran for 8 years. That was the last year they ran it because of how much we hustled them dudes.
So you out here telling people you were an athlete, talking about, yo, look, I played ball, but you were on the bench, is what you telling me.
Like, nah, I was definitely on the bench. My last days of playing sports was football in high school. But yeah, like Tooth could like legit ball. So, but he was, he also had situations he would get into, and he knew a lot of them dudes, more importantly. So he was kind of like a liaison. Him, my boy Jeff, and a few other cats. I won't say their names because legal reasons. But they were definitely like the liaisons for me. Like they knew me enough to know that I was credible and that if I said something, I'm gonna stick to it, and that I rock with them and I understand their reality. By the same token, they knew them other dudes that I was really trying to get to keep safe. So Tooth was like, yo, listen, this Friday shit, I ain't gonna front. I appreciate it. Keeps me out of trouble one night a week. And, I get to work on my game. I'm playing for my high school, whatever. He like, you think we could play any other nights? And I'm like, I'm not at the church the other nights. We only run the youth group on Fridays. And, there's other organizations that use the church during the week. And he's like, yeah, but, like the church is there 24 hours, like the building. And all them groups, they leave at like 8. So we were thinking we could go play ball at 9 until 2, like we do with you. We wait till they leave and then we show up and play ball. And I was like, I can't front. I don't see any holes in this logic. So, you know what I mean?
What could go wrong?
Yeah. So we go to the church and we sit we got like a whole, right off the bat, like if a cop drove by, they would have been suspicious because this is a block where like the church is the only thing in this block. Like It's the church and other church property. So no cars are there unless you're there for church. And on top of that, there's no parking allowed in front of the church. Mm-hmm. So you literally can't park there anyway. So like the only time you would see cars there is when someone was dropping off somebody to go to church and they would leave, or it was like a limo for a wedding. Right? So meanwhile, we there on like a Tuesday at 9:00 in the evening, right? So we lining up. We got like 8 cars of people parked up in the evenings. And we wait to see all these viejitas from there, like church groups coming out of church. Whole bunch of little Dominican ladies. They laughing, they smiling, talking about the bacon they gonna do on Sunday. They get in their cars. And then I walk up, I wait like 15 minutes, make sure nobody's left. I see the janitor walk out, building's closed, lights are off. Go back inside, I open the gym up, and we balled out 2, 3 in the morning. So we're like, oh shit, this is dope. That everybody's happy, they're thankful. We start doing this shit every day.
Oh no.
Legit 6 days a week, I'm running like a fucking basketball league. In East New York on Atlantic Avenue in Jerome. Like I'm freaking, like we balling. Like every fucking day, dude, just like lay up lines. And like this, it's like a legit court because it's like a full NBA size court. There's a platform overhead. So like you could overlook all the games. So it became like an impromptu like girlfriend area. So it was legit like, yo, come with me. I'm gonna ball out. I'm gonna get a couple games in. I'm gonna let my man sub in for me for the rest of the night. So girlfriends would come and wait for their man while they played. Like, we had the hood in this freaking place. So I would say within like 3 to 4 months after starting this, I gotta be getting in like maybe 150 people into this fucking church.
So hold on. I just want to make sure that I understand this correctly. Were they still going to the church events before the game?
And that was the only caveat. So they were still showing up every Friday for my shit. That was the only rule.
Right.
I was like, listen, if I see you show up to my event, you come in, you talk, I'm gonna let you in to play ball. That was all I asked.
Right.
I was like, because I need to know that, A, you're trying to, better yourself. And more importantly, even if you're not open to that, even if you're not there yet, you're open to the possibility that other people might have something of value to say. You could do that. We could do the layup lines right after, my G. Let's do that. 5-6 days a week. You could do all the jump shots you want.
Yeah.
But I need an hour of your time. And I think that's more than fair on my part. But by the same token, it was such a small commitment that I don't care how hood you are, you could give me that. So I had like legit like G's like, damn, B, you really gonna make me come to church? And I'm like, you could free basketball court freaking 5 hours a day, 6 days a week for 1 hour of you like sitting down. You don't even got to talk. You just got to be willing to listen and possibly talk. And then over and over again, I would see them be like, I ain't gonna front, B, that's not bad, son. and they would show up, son. And I ain't gonna front. Some of them would try to like work out deals. They'd be like, yo, I couldn't make it last Friday, but I'm here. I've been here 3 out of 4 Fridays. Yo, I didn't go last week, but I sent my cousin. Like, you sent representatives to the meeting? Like, I'm glad that they got a chance, and I'm gonna let them play ball, but I need you to show up, my G.
Right.
But, I was reasonable with that. Like, you showed up 3 out of 4 weeks. That makes sense. People get sick, whatever. But I definitely said no to people that like, I'm like, yo, my man, I don't know you. Mm-hmm. Or like, I know you from the neighborhood, but you only showing up to play ball, so I'm not going to let you in.
So let me ask you a question. 2 questions here. The first being, what about the drug dealers? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because now you're taking off, I'm assuming they're corner boys, like the lower level guys. But what about their higher ups? Like, weren't they coming for you for like, hitting them in the pockets?
And being frank, yeah, those were awkward conversations that thankfully I didn't always have to have directly. And that's part of why I left certain names out. But I had a lot of dudes that functioned as my liaison. And they were like, yo, this isn't a random dude. This is the guy from our hood. Like, he's one of us, and he's trying to give us good. On top of that, he's not actively telling us don't deal. He's just saying on these nights, this is what he's offering. Come play ball. Sit down, have a meeting, and then after the meeting, if you want to hang out, I have the gym open. And so they couldn't, like, I wasn't actively like telling people get off of the corner so much as there's something else you could do tonight.
Got it.
You know what I mean?
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
On another level, how did you enforce this? Because, I'd imagine that on some levels, if you're out here, working the corners, you're tough. And I'm not saying that you're not tough, Gastor, but I am saying that you're one person. You know what I'm saying? Like it sounds like you were running.
So I'm just being clear. I'm not that guy. Like I'm tough on my kids. I'm not. This is a whole different level.
Right.
Like, you are 100% correct. So the thing that helped, being real, like, dudes like Jeff, Tooth, and also there were certain dudes that early on, because their parents brought them into like the church so much, they balanced that lifestyle. They would show up to church, but they were still them dudes. So those people, that group, they served as my co-signers. You know what I mean? So when somebody like talked to me funny or like they came at me in an aggressive way, they literally like pulled people aside like, yo, nah, he's not that kind of person. He ain't trying to do nothing grimy. And over and over again, and this is why, like, I think it's so important to, like, talk about like drug dynamics and all of that stuff, because it highlighted to me that the people involved with that culture weren't always grimy, because I never came close to being harmed or being in danger. I had moments where I think they would have wanted to do that until someone spoke to them and they saw the intention behind it. I never brought 5-0 to any of the meetings. I never did any like type of like there was no snitching. And they policed a lot of it. You know what I mean? So like when someone was coming into the court, they kind of like unofficially enforced all weapons stay out shit. Like I asked for that, but being real, I have no way of enforcing it. I'm not patting you down. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, but I saw them over and over again. Like they had like little rituals. So like when you play ball regularly, you know, dudes show up with a duffel bag with their like gym clothes. So like they would show up, they would change in the upstairs area, put all their stuff in the duffel, and if they had anything that they knew was grease, they would take it out. And I told them like, yo, listen, like, you know, just in case someone ever walks in here, the only thing they should be able to say is, yo, y'all playing ball too late. And that was my way of saying of like, yo, make sure nothing is here that could really get us in trouble. And they understood that. So literally, you would see dudes come in, say what's up. They would get buzzed into the court. They would change upstairs to b-ball clothes, put everything in a duffel bag. And they would like have like a real young cat, like a 14-year-old dude. He would have like 3 dudes duffel bags and waiting in the car. You know what I mean? Except for that dude, he'd have to be in a car for 5 hours. But
with the window cracked, I hope.
You know what I mean? Like listening to fucking Flex replay the same song 7 times or whatever. But yeah, like they really like self-regulated. And over again, like you would see people that I knew for a fact like had beef, but in order to play, they knew to leave that behind, and relationships were changing there. Respect would grow. So like it really became like a cool hangout in the neighborhood. And so like this went on like I almost like I'm not gonna say, but I feel like you could still find this game today.
Okay.
Kind of shit. Like if you wanna play ball, DM me type shit. You know what I mean? Like but yeah, like I know it's like a legacy situation. Like I no longer am in charge of the keys.
Right.
I'd have to like find the people. But yeah, like so what ended up happening is like I grew like a real system with these dudes. By the same token though, keep in mind, like I'm still like at the time I was already dating the girl that's now my wife. You know what I mean? Like so I got my own shit to do like in the evenings. I'm not always trying to be kicking it with y'all 9 in the evening till 2 in the morning. You know what I mean? But I didn't want to get in the way of their ball. So little by little, I grew faith with some of them. So I would actually like leave them the key and they would bring it back to me. Mm-hmm. I had like a pair of Timberland boots that like I would leave on like my stoop in my back in the back of my crib. So they would come into my house, walk around the property, go to my Timbs, and like they would pick up the keys at certain time if I had something to do, and they would drop them off. And I would show up at like 2 in the morning from like date night, and they'd be my keys and shit. It was crazy.
So you're so New York. You're so New York. You had Timbs Haida keys. A Timbs Haida key.
Yo, I'm so New York. I had several Tim Haida keys. I had Tim Haida keys all over that yard. Straight up. Like I had like old Timbs by the garage. Those had keys for some shit. I had Timbs by my stoop that went in strictly to my bedroom. But yeah, dude, this is vital. I even have Timbs and slippers. Like they go through like a graduation process. You buy the new Timbs, those are the date night Timbs. Then when they get a little hurt, they become the working Timbs. Like, all right, I'm gonna shovel some snow in these shits. I'm gonna go to work and switch to my nice Timbs when I get to work. Then I had these are the slipper Timbs where they still comfortable, but they look beat up. So I'm gonna just wear these around the apartment. And then finally, they get demoted to outdoor Haida key Timbs. And that's where they end off at. And then from there, they got their own demotion process. Because if you're on my stoop, you at least still covered from the rain. But, you know, when you become the hideaway Timbs by the garage, you know, those are your last days.
You're out. So if you're listening, Timberland, please sponsor my guy, Gastor. Trying to get that endorsement.
That check right there, B. All day. But yeah, like it ran for a minute, you know what I mean? So, and you know, it was dope. Like, you know, I'd walk around like the neighborhood and people like legit like were appreciative. Like, it was legit like dudes that would come up to me and show me love and like tell me, some of them, like some people like I didn't know, but like they knew of me because of that. So like I'd walk around and like I'd see one guy I know, and I give him a head nod. I ain't want to OD because I also didn't know the dynamics of their relationships and who they were with. But every now and then, like I'd give a dude a head nod, he'd give me a head nod back. I would see him turn to his mans, be like, yo. And then like 7 people would be like, yo. And I'm like, okay, I'm good. So like, all right, I'm peace over here. And like that was happening like more and more. And every now and then I would even get like a real OG dude. Like I'm in my early mid-20s and like a 40-year-old cat would come up to me and be like, yo, just want to say, yo, good looking for opening up the courts. You know what I mean? My son been playing over there. Now I really appreciate him having something to do. He be doing knuckleheaded shit. Now he playing ball with you or whatever. And it just made me realize how little there is to do that's productive in my neighborhood. Like it really highlighted it to me. So yeah, I legit, we did this for years. Like genuinely like enjoyed it. I built a relationship with some of them that I'm still friends with a lot of them to this day. Those are like my dudes. So yeah, this all goes down and the group is growing. Admittedly for mixed reasons, right? Like people are hearing, yo, Fridays at G's is popping. People would show up because it was a cool event. It was the only group at the church being run by a regular dude. And then there was also people showing up that was like, yo, if we sit here for an hour, we're going to play ball. You know what I mean? So like every other church group, 15 people would show up to meetings. I'm getting like legit 200-300 people at meetings and 150 people staying for basketball. Like crazy turnout. So like the church is like, oh, this is crazy. Great job, Gastor. Fantastic. The priest is showing up to attendance and he's like, I don't know what you're doing, man, but they seem real focused and they're real serious. I'm like, well, they're serious for other reasons, Father Bible. I'm not gonna let you get into that. Just they're intense people. They have tough day jobs, you know what they do. But they're here. They're willing to listen to what we have to say. And I'm opening the door to them. And, like I said, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to probably only hit I might only get 10% of these people to do other things that are deeper. But I got this group of people every Friday. They're here and they're safe. They're not outside. And I feel good about that. So I felt dope, and they grew to appreciate that too. So they are so excited about this big turnout. They're talking about it in like freaking church meetings with the diocese. Like, yo, we got this one church in East New York, incredible youth participation. You know what I mean? Mad people showing up. So my girlfriend, now my wife, her father is a deacon at the church. So like he's even telling my girl about it. He's like, yo, I don't know what your boyfriend's doing, but he's doing great work over there. I'm hearing about it at the diocese's office. So like people was talking like, right, yo, this dude Gastor got people showing up to church. And you got to understand, like, this isn't even like a smooth thing, right? Because first I host a meeting on Friday, 7 to 9. We're gonna do the meeting. 9 to 11, we play ball, right? At 11 o'clock, which is already way later than any other group is allowed at church, that's when the janitor leaves. So we got to do the exercise of, everybody got to go. So we would all leave the church, 100-some people, and then wait till the janitor left, got in his car, drove off, and then come back in to keep playing these games. So like this wasn't like an easy process. Like I'm just impressed by the commitment of like all these kids.
Right.
Like basketball is powerful. I don't know if God is, but basketball definitely is. Like I don't know what like Jesus got to look into basketball sponsors is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like it's just vital. But yeah, like this grew and people were talking about it and this went on for legit years. Like it went even after I stopped playing this role at the church. I know it still kept happening and I'm glad it did. But yeah, so the powers that be at the church, they're so excited that they want to do like an event. Like they want to offer us like a thing. So they're like, yo, listen, they came up, they sat me, my boy Hector down, who's another big, he's another like young dude at the church playing a similar role to what I'm doing. We were the 2 dudes in charge of this group.
Right.
And I'm a young East New York dude. Hector is everything that people think I am. He is that.
Oh,
like
I
he
see.
is super extra with that. Like he's from Brownsville. Like all the stereotypes that they think I am, he's actually that. Like he's part of the reason I have the credibility. And I love this dude. Like, you know, it's real crazy. Hector right now is in Florida selling apps to like companies to better their business. And I just can't picture how those conversations go.
Yo, my G, you buying this app?
You buying this.
or what? What we doing here? I ain't even gotta talk to you.
That shit blows my mind to this day. He's like, yo, I'm killing it out here selling apps. I'm like, I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are, my G. Them dudes is scared for their life, sending you $50 a month to maintain that shit. You don't even know how to program them fucking apps. He's like, nah, I don't know. I got people, Gastor. But yeah, like, so we freaking me and him, like, we sit down with the priest, and the priest like, listen, everybody's been talking, and the organization that, you know, they're a part of, their priesthood, they're like, we're really excited about what you're doing. So there's a big gathering happening in Europe, and we worked it out with all of our churches that we're connected with over there. We're gonna do a 3-week trip across like 10 cities. We figured out like between everything we could do it for about $2,000 a person, which is crazy cheap. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're gonna spend 3-4 weeks in Italy, Germany, and you don't gotta worry about, and it was like 2,000 includes like food, hotel stay, flights. Like, this is wild cheap, you know what I mean? And he was like, you know, he's like, I know that's still a lot of money, but like, I worked this all out because I wanted to really make it possible for the young people that are coming to your group to go over there. So he's like, yo, like, I'm telling you what time. The event is in September, I think it was, and this was in like January. So he's like, yo, if you guys plan it out, you could save, you know, 200 something a month. And anyone that wants to go can go from now. Also, you guys could throw charity events, et cetera, and really raise the money to make this trip happen. So, like me and my boy Hector Hype, we're like, yo, right off the bat, we know we going to Italy. Like, you know, that's crazy. Mm-hmm. You know, I'll figure out how to get 2 G's from now until then. You know, and also, you know, I appreciate it because that means that what we were doing was working. You know, like, this was something we could offer. And I knew that everybody wasn't going to go, but I knew that it was something that realistically, I felt like we could get 5-10 people from the crew to go. And I thought that'd be dope. So I announced it at the meeting. All the like little kids are hype. All the religious dudes are hype. All the dudes on the block, they hype. And I was surprised. I was like, word, like, y'all about this? I'm gonna be like, so I'm like, yo, oh, like you was hyped about the Italy. He's like, yo, my man, I've been dreaming about going to Italy all my life, my G. I'm like, what? He's like, yo, B, I love the Renaissance period. And like, it was just so ill to like know that this was real for them and shit. Right. And I was like, yo, this is like legit beautiful. So like, then we working out the logistics, like, how we gonna make this happen? And I was like, we gotta do fundraisers, right? So I showed everybody like a breakdown plan of how much money they could put away per month on their own, and then on top of it, I said I'm gonna do a monthly fundraiser of some sort, so that if somebody's short, we could hopefully help somebody pitch in. So everybody's excited. That's what we're doing. Now I have to announce this to the church, so I'm doing a fundraiser event that the church is okay with. So I'm doing like bake sales. That shit ain't rocking. Like, just being real. Like, if you every Sunday there's a bake sale for something at the church. Right. So like, I had people volunteering, baking cakes, bringing in cakes, cupcakes. There's too many cakes, but they bringing in all this pastry shit for people to eat on Sunday at like 2 PM. I'm making like $40-50 on Sundays. Cool. I'm not mad at it. I'm gonna keep taking it, but this isn't going to send more than like one other person to Italy. Oh, you know what I mean? So I'm telling this to Hector, like, yo, my man, like, I got to keep doing these pastry things, whatever, because it's something that I could officially say at church, but this ain't gonna cut it. And he's like, then how can we fundraise in a way that's unofficial?
The Revisionary Podcast.
We're gonna pause it right here for this week, and honestly, I'm going to apologize a little bit. I know that the story was just getting good and Gastor's just doing a phenomenal job. but I don't want to overwhelm you guys and give you a very long episode. So we're going to pick this up on the next episode. And just, make sure you follow Gastor as always. And this week, we won't do the charity. What I'll do instead is I'll just plug Gastor's charity at the end of the next episode once his story is actually finished. But thank you again for listening, and don't forget to subscribe and follow us on all social media, and feel free to drop us a line. Thanks again for listening to the Revisionary Podcast.
This is